Hi, Sherelle. It's nice to see you again today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, thank you. What brings you in today?
Um, it's for the second session, so I thought that we would just come back and talk about the things that I've been going through since the last time we spoke.
Okay, and the last session we broke, we spoke about how you were having a lot of anxiety relating to COVID and your empathy towards your internship, that sometimes becomes difficult to set boundaries with. Am I understanding that situation correctly?
Yes, yes, which it has updated since that time. Um, After my daughter was, like truly finished with COVID, I would say that even weeks after going back and forth to work and school and just, luxury wherever I was doing, not luxury, more so a pleasure, I still had that sense of fear, like who else has it around me? Or did she have enough antibodies to, because she's vaccinated as well. But is that going to protect her, or what more can we do? I still wear my mask anytime I can. I still, use a sanitizer, but I always have. So that's not a different thing. And as for the internship, it's just been rocky.
What's been going on with the internship?
So with the internship, I am based out of like a group home kind of setting. And there's some situations that are kind of questionable there, but I'm an intern. I'm there to learn, good or bad. I'm still able to learn. Um, I think the the hardest thing sometimes is when you make a sense of a bond with a kid or with your group, and the next day they're gone, or they had a bad day and they don't want to participate, and you still just want to help them in any way that you can. It's just the fact that they have to be willing to take it. I'm not quite sure where I fit at in this particular place for my internship. um, there are a lot of staff members, and I just don't think we're really all on the same page sometimes. And so wires get crossed, and it just makes it a little bit harder to gain the hours or to learn when it's not given to you.
I'm glad you're starting to feel a little better about the COVID situation, but what are your thoughts about the upcoming holidays?
Well, I like to think that more people are going to take precaution, being those that it's wherever they're going is not their home, so you have to treat it as if you're around strangers as well. Um, I, I don't I don't want to really talk about anybody's COVID vaccine status because none of my business. But I feel a lot safer knowing all of my family members are vaccinated, and we're able to be around each other. So besides that, because I'm just going from my house to my mom's. And one of the plus sides is that I work in a really small law firm. And even with our clients, we still have them wear a mask and all that other stuff before you enter the building. So I feel a little more relaxed about that. You still have people who are going to fight against wearing the mask in public places and all that. And I don't think that's a battle anymore that can be won. So to each his own. I just know that I'm still going to continue treating it like it is there and it can happen to anyone. And I don't want to take it back to anybody. So I just know that I feel a lot safer knowing that that's going to be, you know, that's going to be one of the like the concerns that I had is going to be more calming. And the fact that my daughter, she don't really go back to school right away. It's a waiting period because she's off this whole week, and then she don't come back to work. I mean, school until Monday of the following week. So if anybody were around anybody, hopefully they'll know to take either, to isolate or whatever measures they have to take to make sure they're not spreading it to other people.
Absolutely. And do you have any specific plans for the holidays?
Yeah, I'm going to like all my siblings and their kids. We're all going to be at my mom's house, so that's going to be a plus because we all don't really get to spend a lot of time together due to work. All our kids are in school, and so whatever time that we have left is spent with our children. And then also, I just don't have time in the week because I'm busy with work, school, and interning. So a 24-hour period, I think I have probably 6 hours to myself, and that's to sleep, so it's really difficult.
At this time, is COVID still your biggest stressor?
It isn't. It's actually right now one of the least of my worries. I think my stressor as of today is the semester slowly approaching, coming to the end. Um, I'm just trying to make sure that I have all the grades on all my assignments. And right now I am taking social policy, and you have to grant right. And it is not for the faint at heart. And it is a lot of work. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of research. And thank goodness I have a really good professor who can explain in detail what needs to be done because it's stressful. Um, the course itself, you have a grant proposal with the group, and then you have your own grant proposal on top of, and that's in like your discussion boards. And then you still have your homework and you still have like your exams. And so, like this morning, I had to take, I don't know if it's the final exam, I think it was, but my brain was mush about time I took it, and I studied, and I felt like I knew the answers, but I kept second guessing myself because some of the answers were so close together to where I was literally probably playing eeny, meeny, miny, mo at the end of it because I was like, I'm just going to worry myself to death about it. And I am not good racing against any clock at all. I'm very punctual with, making sure that I'm on time for things. But when I know that there is a quote unquote deadline, um, I shut down. And so instead of me focusing more on the test, I kept focusing on how much more time do I have and can I get these essay questions out the way before the time is over? And that was really concerning. And then the grant the grant proposal itself is like broken down into like 5 or 6 parts. And you have to learn the bill that you want to talk about, and you have this topic that you want to build an agency on. And the good thing about it is that you're able to pick your own topic. So I was able to do childhood obesity because that stems from a personal family member who lost his life, and it was due to um, a lot of health complications of being like extremely overweight. And it started out when he was a kid. And so I basically wanted to speak about that and then see for my own research as well to see different things on how this epidemic can possibly not be cured because I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I can't do it all myself. But I wanted to gather the information. So maybe one day, if I did want to write a grant proposal of some sort, that I can start with that idea. Um, and it's really tough. I'm not a real good researcher. I like to write. I don't like to like cite words and do references and all that other stuff. It just takes too much. And it just requires a lot of like a paying attention, and I know this is part of the curriculum. I'm not downing what we have to do. It just becomes overwhelming. I get very overwhelmed with schoolwork. Um, and I can have everything in on a deadline and I can make sure that everything is in. It just worries me to feel like I'm not meeting the standards that I need to for my grades.
Do you think it's too overwhelming right now? Is it because you you're so busy with other stuff?
That could be it, because I do have to dedicate about 15 to 16 hours just in a week in interning. So I am trying to balance what classes, what stuff is due, and how am I going to go about making sure that it's done on time, as well as coming up with ideas for my interning. And I believe a part of it is just me wanting to make sure I'm doing everything right. Um, and sometimes you just got to take a breath, like it has to be like, okay, it might not be an A paper, or it might not be a B, but C is passing too. And I will say, I have learned that this semester, like at first I will always be like, no, I have to get this done. I have to be above and beyond. And you should have that thought process. You should. But that's an easy way to burn out. And a couple of times this semester, I literally felt burnt out. And I felt at times like, yeah, I don't know. I'm probably gonna have to just take a L with this. Like I don't think I can complete it, and every time I felt like I couldn't, I would just be like, no, you won't be able to sleep at night if you don't. You won't be able because you're this far. Why are you giving up now? And so that's one of the obstacles I have, is that I want to be on a routine, and I want to have a schedule, but I also want to just get it out the way. And then other times I'm like, oh, who cares about this anymore? And then other days I'm like, but you made it this far and you're almost done. Why are you thinking like this? You didn't put in all this work to just like walk away from it. But this semester I really did feel like that a lot more than not. And I've been in at Del Tech since 2017, because I took criminal justice at first and then switched over to the human services. So it's it's been a ride.
Last session, we spoke about some of your goals. I understand that you wanted to improve your self care routine, improve your time management skills, and reduce anxiety. Are those still relevant goals?
They really are. Because I just don't know how to manage it. Like I did a little bit more of self-care since the last time we spoke. Like I actually went to like a salon and got my nails done and all that other stuff. And I did a lot of some of my Christmas shopping. And to me, that's therapy. Like I like to shop. So I'm okay with doing stuff like that. It wasn't really a task. I like looking at things and taking my time and just walking, because I can't really like just walk down the street. I'm always thinking that somebody's over my shoulder or whatever. But to go to like a store or something like that, it's really helpful. And my time management, I I'm going to try to make weekends just for me, whether, and I mean, like I can still do homework, but half in that day to homework and then the other half for myself. And I can see that as a goal that could be met, because I kind of tested it out a couple of times. I still had some things that had to be due, and it was not, you know, I didn't have control of that. But I do feel a little better about my time versus the last time we spoke. Still busy as ever, but I feel like towards the end of the semester. I'm finally coming into the swing of things, which on one note, I feel like that's going to be very helpful because I still have to take DP2, and I have also math next semester. So I think that with that interning part, and then and knowing what I did this semester, learning from those different mistakes on how to put it into your schedule is probably going to make it a lot easier for my DP2. So even though I'm struggling right now, I'm still trying to get the time and stuff together. It feels like it's working a little bit better.
That's good. And for your DP2, is that the only course you're going to be taking?
I also taking math as well. So I'm going to be doing that. And I believe I have to talk to my advisor again, but I believe that after that, I'm going to enter into the drug and alcohol counseling. And I'm sure I have to do like a couple of classes with that, but that I feel like that will be easy. It's the 200 hours that kind of 200 hours from the DP that kind of just gets a little hazy sometimes because you just don't know how to you're not prepared for it, no matter how much you think you are. And the teachers warn you. It's not like the professor didn't say, "Hey guys, it's going to be hard. Let me tell you." But if you manage your time, this is what you're going to get out of it. You never know until it's there, because all of our schedules are different. Some people are able just to go to school full time, so it's a breeze for them. Some people don't have children. Like my daughter, she's active in after school programs, so she's in band, track. She is also a cheerleader. So it's a lot of things in between that, and still a PTA mom. Like I still have to help run concession stands and stuff. I have to set up and all this other stuff to find ways because I still have to, like, that's important to me and everything else I squeeze in. So if I'm giving that even more of my time, I'm taking away from the time for myself, because I got to put it somewhere else at that time. And that's difficult too.
Have you considered trying to take the semester off? That way you have some time for breaking and more self-care time.
Um, no, I feel like so that was one of the issues I had early on. Unfortunately, I had a lot of like deaths in the family and one that really hit home. And so I did not do well on a semester and I just jumped right back into it. But at that time when I wasn't, I I didn't feel like I really had a purpose besides school and work. I mean, work and home, because I wasn't working towards the goal of graduating. And so, and then by me almost being towards the end, I couldn't imagine taking a semester off when I can do this semester and be done. Like so, it's a battle. I, One thing I would say is that I probably, if anything else, I probably would have took DP1 in another course. And then about the time I got to DP2, I would have known I would have been able to make that decision by DP2. Hey, I can do 3 classes or I can only do 2, but I just dived into it. And um, I'm still maintaining really good grades. So that's a plus, but it is, I wish I listened to the professor because she even said that. She was like, some people don't even understand that you should take DP1 and just another class. Don't overload yourself. And I think that's kind of what the college tells you as well. Like just don't take on more than you can handle. And so partially again, it still goes back to just being my fault and not really understanding that this is another job. Like you're practically working part-time somewhere else for free. So, and that's something else that kind of gets on my nerve a little bit. With my interning, I'm like, utilize me while I'm here, go ahead and do it because this is free work, and it's one thing if I have to sit around for free, but put me to work and let me do something so these hours can go past fast. Like I'm more of a person who needs to keep going because if I sit down, I'll stop.
I understand that school has been making you feel really overwhelmed, anxious, and you've been feeling burnt out. But how are those feelings physically affecting you?
I would say that I'm very tired. Like I'm very tired. If I do get time to myself, my appearance is not something I'm worried about anymore. Like I just feel like, hey, as long as that's done, as long as the housework is done, I'm okay. But I normally used to get like weekly massages. I don't have time for that. I don't have time, like to even clean my car, little things like that. Like um it's just a lot that goes with this. But I just keep trying to look at the reward of it all. Like when I'm done, I'm able to do this or do that. But it's I wish there was a course on real time management, like how to do this or whatever, and then be forced to do it, like have somebody like, hey, are you doing this? Hey, are you doing that? So it's like I have my mom. My mom was always saying, like, are you going to bed? Are you getting rest? Like, or she'll just be blunt about it, like, well, you look really tired, like things like that, like slow down and take it easy and all this other stuff. And they'll pretty much like try to help. Like this year, I normally make some sides for Thanksgiving for everybody. And I was just like telling my mom, like, I have like a lot of papers due and I have this stuff coming up. I can't even participate in anything like that. I can't even get to the grocery store. I'm having my stuff delivered because I just can't get to the store. I'm not saying that that's not a plus because I hate grocery shopping, so that's okay. But it's still a extra, you know, um, extra money from the budget that's going into things like that because I don't have time. I don't have time to be in the store for an hour grocery shopping when I can do it online, 15 minutes, and it's delivered to my house the next morning. Like little things like that. Like Amazon is my best friend and Walmart.com is my best friend and ShopRite because I can just get those things and um, have those things checked off my list. So one thing I can say is that I can just focus on these things for the moment because I have made other plans to do everything else that I can.
Earlier, you mentioned that you were feeling stressed with work. How's work going right now?
Believe it or not, because the courts are opening back up and it's their calendar is so far behind, they're pushing a lot of things to happen right away before the year is out. So work has been very heavy and we have been picking up new cases. And so that has been a nonstop. Like I used to have a little bit of downtime when I was at work where I could turn around and, if I wanted to take a quick 15 or do whatever, I had a little bit of time to read as well. As for now, it's meetings with clients, getting paperwork done, filing motions, and like constant phone calls, or there's some discovery or copies that need to be made. And it's not enough hands at the office to be able to do that. So a lot of that pressure is on me. So not only am I the paralegal, I'm also the assistant. I also help answer phones and I do work for two attorneys. So they're both criminal, but one is also a civil and asbestos, and he does estate work. And so some days I just don't know whether or not I'm coming or going. I have to be in control of two calendars, two different sides of clients. Like my one boss, he handles real big criminal cases, such as, anything that's drug related, anything that has, like weapon related. And then the other attorney I work for, he handles the DUIs, he handles any kind of assault, abuse kind of cases. And so, that's half a day with this person, half a day with that person, meeting new clients. And then if we have to sign a will or if we have to do a real estate, it's a lot for one person to do and learn and make sure that everything is on top because we are a small firm and they're older gentlemen. So this is something that they're going to finish their career out with, like this is it for them. Like they're just the attorney. And every time we feel like it's slowing down, it picks back up and it's like a blessing and a curse because nobody wants to be without a job, but nobody wants to work that hard either. So that is pretty, you know, that's a task all in itself. It's pretty eventful Monday through Friday. I start work at 8 and sometimes I'm done at 4:30. Sometimes I'm done at 5 o'clock and then sometimes I have to stay longer, like it just depends. I mean, it's been really easy to say no now because I'm not going to let anything interfere with my schooling, but it is a lot of work.
Yeah, sounds like it. And are you currently shorthanded on staff because of COVID?
No, actually, we're short on staff because people are retiring. So um, I am probably the youngest person there by about 30. to 40 years, you know, like, so there are a lot of older people that work there, and they're just retiring left and right. At one point, we didn't think that the caseload was going to become this heavy as it is because one, COVID, you know, people weren't working, they were unemployed, or they just didn't have the funding. I believe that, and this is just my thought, policing wasn't really as strict because of the pandemic. And so people had a lot of time to wait. Like, for example, during the pandemic, the early 2020, and when you would get in trouble, or you know, you got stopped by the police, whether or not it was a ticket or anything like that, you got a date, but the date didn't stick because courts weren't open or they were doing Zoom or something like that. So a lot of cases got pushed. So the people thought that they had more than enough time to just go find an attorney or go do whatever. And then when it came up to like 3 or 6 months before the court date, they're like, oh my gosh, I need an attorney. I need to go. So we got slammed with people who had cases from 2020. And then you have the courts when the trials and stuff stopped in 2020, they still had cases that they were trying from 2018 to 2019. So anything that happened in 2020 is not even getting looked at until late 2022 to 2023 because they're 2 years behind. So it's really crazy how the timeline work, and you have to work amongst that. Like I think they're at probably 75 or 80% capacity where they're sending people back to work, but that hasn't changed the trial dates and the calendar for the judges and what they need to have done, because it's a lot of work. That's a lot of technology, computers generating all this the scheduling stuff. And that's another issue too. There has been a lot of mistakes, not, you know, like honest mistakes, because people just don't know. And it made my job a lot harder because we would think a court date is one day and then it was off the calendar or something like that. And so that has been a real issue for a while as well. So, but because I've been in this field long enough, it's stressful, but it's not overbearing and overwhelming because I'm just used to it. You know, like, so now I didn't let myself get comfortable because I worked the whole pandemic. So it wasn't like I was working from home. I was in the office every day, you know, like I was there. So I didn't really feel the effects of the pandemic besides the world stopping to, in a sense, you know. So it still gave me a leg up for what I would be expecting. Now, the workload is a little bit more heavier, but it's not something that I just can't handle. Like I can handle my job situation, a lot more than the other situations that I spoke about because it's just something I've been doing for so long. It wasn't new to me.
So, Sherelle, tell me, where do you see yourself in the next year?
In the next year, I would like to be at some university, getting my bachelor's degree, starting my bachelor's degree. Um, I would, gosh, I guess I never thought that far ahead. I think that would be the main thing, and actually I would probably start looking for a job in that field. A lot of people that I spoke to in the human services that I'm dealing with, even with DP1, they are already in a job that pertains to their field, and I just haven't begun to even look. Um, and I'm not saying that being in the legal field is not a source of human services, but I really want to be hands-on in another way of if I'm working in some type of rehab place or child advocacy place, I would like to head more into that direction to actually get the knowledge, like learn from it, the experience from that. So that's where I hope to be in a year. Um, yeah, that's basically it. I feel like I conquered mostly everything else, you know, so this is this is a big part of what my future is going to be like.
And do you currently feel like you have all the supports in place that would help you succeed into achieving those goals?
Yeah, one of the reasons why I waited to go back to college was I wanted my daughter to be at a certain age to be self-sufficient. So I wouldn't feel so guilty about giving so much time to, schooling and work and kind of put her on the back burner, not on purpose, but just in case something else came up, I wouldn't feel so bad. And she's almost 18, so it's easier for me to be able to do a lot of things without feeling like I'm held back because I wanted to make sure I was a hands-on mom, and that's why I picked the job that I was at because they were pretty much flexible with my schedule and my daughter. And I don't know if I'm going to get the same treatment in the next job that I'm able to like the next job that I'll be working at. So this everything is coming right in place where it needs to be because I will only have to worry about doing what's best for me in school.
I know last time we spoke about you having a good support system. Do you still feel like you have a good support system?
Yeah, I do. I have my husband, my family. Um, I have a great friend who's always looking out for me too. Um, when I feel stressed out or if I need somebody to talk to, I can reach out to anybody. That's one good thing about it. I have a huge family. And so that's never an issue. Like to just say, oh, I'm having a bad day, this is going on, that's going on. I always have people I can reach out to.
It's always good to have a good support system.
Yeah.
And I know you said you've been feeling stressed about school and work and you feel just burnt out, but could you tell me a time about could you tell me a time where you felt successful?
I would say a time that I felt very successful um, is probably in my social policy class when I thought that I didn't have a clue on what I was doing. And I'm very good at following directions when it's really broken down to me. So um, I can read something, that's fine. But when it's more, when I have more than one task at one time, it becomes a problem. Like it all goes together. And with this whole grant writing stuff, once it clicked, but I could not get it in the beginning. Like I didn't know where to start. I had no idea about, what I had to take from where to add to what. And they make you write a budget, like it's just so you have to go search for these things that you want to use for your grant proposal. And it was all mumbled jumbled in my head. And then finally I like sat there and I was going through it and I was like looking at the Zoom recordings of the classes that he was explaining what to do. And I kept watching it over and over again, trying to like listen and then think it through. And then finally it like clicked. It's so weird how it happened because I was like all these many weeks I'm like struggling and then all of a sudden it was like boom, this is what I need to do. And I got right into action and it was like I could have done this a couple weeks ago if I just probably would have just looked at it and thought it out. But that was one of my successful moments, I would say. Made me feel good.
After what we've talked about, is there anything else you would like to talk about that we haven't mentioned yet?
Um, so one thing that's really been bothering me throughout this whole thing is that it's a little story time, but back in July, the end of July, I was in a car accident. I was on 95 and I was rear ended. And so um that has always been a fear of mine forever, like not being able to move out the way or stop or whatever. And it was really weird because we were in like a traffic jam. And I just looked at my rear view and I could see that this person was coming kind of at a fast pace. And I could tell that they weren't going to stop, but I had nowhere to go because I couldn't, well, I was, there was cars on both sides. So I couldn't even like move out the way. And so I was hit. And that has affected me so much. And like about a week and a half ago, I was driving my daughter to school and we were at a stoplight and I see this car again uh, coming real close. And I'm like, I hope they see we're at a red light. Hope they see it. So then I see that the car, she stops. And then within 30 seconds, she hits my car. So I'm like, what the heck? So I jumped out in a panic because I'm like, what is going on here? Like it's there something on my car that says hit me or something? Like I really went berserk about that. And that's one of the things now where I'm very, paranoid about driving now because I just don't trust the drivers anymore. I don't understand why people speed. I don't understand why they don't use their turning signals when they are going to get into the other lane. I have to travel a lot. So this is something that really takes a toll. And I started getting very nervous when the time changed because for some reason people can't drive at night. And so traffic gets really more crazier and people still don't obey the traffic laws. And I don't understand it. So that's another thing that makes me not like I'm glad that I don't have to travel a lot for like school or like I can just go to work and home and everything is done like online and I might have to go into the school for like a class and that's sometimes and so that's good but yeah that's been coming up more so of a fear now than before. I always been a cautious driver but now I'm just really like alert all the time.
I know that what you went through must have been a scary experience, and I understand why you'd be anxious while driving. But are you currently doing anything while driving to ease your anxiety?
I actually do. So while I'm driving, I like to listen to different podcasts that are on. I enjoy hearing, debates. I like just hearing girl talk or the latest gossip only when I'm driving because it seems to make the time go fast. I also listen to my Audible books that I have, and sometimes I'll even put on like the YouTube kind of thing just to have it at the background. They have a lot of different crime and mystery stories that you can listen to. So that helps me engage with like paying attention to the road and not so much of looking up at the rear view and driving, looking at the rear view or my side mirrors. I'm focused on just listening to that. If I'm gonna listen to music, I try to put more so music like jazz or something very calming, just so I'm not really because I don't want to listen to angry music to get angry or listen to anything that's going to have me not focused on the road. So I do that a lot. I like now driving with somebody else in the car because it helps ease the thought as well. I will say it's really hard for me to get in a car with others. Like if I'm not behind the wheel, I'm very nervous and skittish about allowing somebody else to drive me anywhere because I just feel like if I'm in the driver's seat, I'm in control of what's going to happen. And so that's another thing that I'm probably going to have to work on because I, have to get into the car with my husband sometimes, or I have to ride with somebody if something happens with anything else. So I try to be mindful of that. I also try to not think about it because I am a dweller. And as soon as a thought comes up, I just literally fixate on that and I can't change the thought, but I can't also change the narrative of what happened. So I need to like push through. That's one of the things that I have that's very difficult to deal with at the moment.
Do you feel like those are enough coping strategies to keep you calm in the car, or do you think they're not working as well for you anymore?
Well, I think that is enough to be able to be in the car because I still have to focus on driving. I don't really want to do anything else that's going to take my mind off of it. So it's not like I can do my normal breathing exercises or I can't like meditate because you got to focus on the road. So those are I believe those are the only measures I can possibly take to be driving. Now I will say before I get into the car, I do like, kind of pump myself up and I say a prayer before I'm about to leave and all that stuff just to like feel good before I actually get on the road. But I wish I knew of more things to do to try to calm my nerves, but I think it's more so of it's the other drivers, not me. So it's really hard to try to decipher the two on what to do while you're driving besides be careful, follow the rules and stay in your lane. Like I don't know besides that what else can happen.
After our session today, do you have any plans in place for the near future?
um I guess I'm still going to try to do that time management. um I'm going to try to spend more time, personal time for myself, to get myself together and mentally prepare for next semester or whatever else I might have to face in the up and coming months. Um, I will also probably try to work on just asking for help as well. That's one of my big things that I have a problem with. I just rather do it myself to get it done and out the way. But sometimes that's so stressful to where I should ask somebody like, hey, can you meet me halfway? And I think that's one of the things I'm going to start looking towards as well.
And after today, how long do you think it will take you to get where you want to be?
So I'm pretty determined. So I don't like giving myself timelines or deadlines because I put more pressure on myself with that. I like the pace that I'm going. I wish I could move a little slower, actually, not even faster. I wish I could pace myself to a point where I'm comfortable enough to not feel like I'm not getting things done when I need to get it done.
And would you like to continue meeting for future sessions?
Yes, you've been very helpful.
So today we discussed how you're getting through COVID, how your internship can improve, and areas where you need to improve your time management skills. Am I understanding everything okay?
Yes.
Okay. And is there anything else you'd like to talk about before our session ends?
No, I think we talked about everything that we could today.
So we'll pick up our session next week. And if you need me before that, you can schedule an earlier appointment.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you for coming to the session today.
You're welcome.